All right, welcome back to another edition of the Harold Katz podcast. I'm Oren Glickman alongside Jack Turell. A lot to digest since we were last on the air. Why you played two Skyline games, went 1-for-2, a win over Purchase, but a loss over Farmingdale. We would love to get the Godfather's perspective on both those games. Coach, good to have you on again. Your thoughts on both the Farmingdale loss, the Purchase win, what went wrong and what went right last night?
Well, first of all, thanks. And thanks everybody for listening. I kind of think I'm kind of boring, so
well, absolutely not.
We got great reviews.
Great reviews from only from coaches, from young folk like our age that are like coaching middle school at SIR or coaching here at this program, like actual people who want to learn basketball, who are interested in the intricacies of the game. That's what this is for. That's why we love having having a podcast with someone with your resume and acumen that's out there and available for young, Jewish coaches to learn. It's so valuable.
I appreciate it. I would tell the coaches that the only reason I know anything is because, like I said last week, I've made every mistake they're about to make, and maybe if you keep, you keep yourself from making them, then it's a better situation. So Oren, the answer to your question is probably 2 hours long. So why don't we just break it down?
Bring a pen and notebook with you, basically.
We're ready. We're ready for 2 hours. We're game. Well, we're not going anywhere.
Let's start with Saturday night, and we're going to clear up. All right, pull up a chair, kids, because we're going to learn tonight.
All right.
Here's my deal on that, and I think the first thing is to make a distinction, and it's an important one, and it actually sometimes burns me up, and I mean it in this way. I'm going right in, Jack. I'm not even going to wait.
Let's go.
I was told there was a podcast and talking about a post game at Farmingdale. In the Farmingdale game, we ended up losing the game. And somebody on the podcast that says something like, well, Coach Katz will just say that, we lost because the offense wasn't good. Correct me if I'm wrong, because the offense didn't work or we didn't run it or something like that. And here's the difference between a coach and a fanboy or a mathematician, however you want to call it, okay? Coaches have taught. I thought we were actually pretty good Saturday night. I really did. We didn't make shots, but we didn't crowd the paint. We executed offensively. And until the last 5 minutes, I thought we did a great job. Well, I don't know if the last 5, but around the 13-minute mark, I think it started to get away. And even though we were making a run once in a while, I think I'm watching the game thinking, well, we just need to get it a 7 to 10. And I think we got it somewhere near 7, around 10. And then we made a couple mistakes and it turned back to 13 or whatever. And then we cut it again.
We were in the game.
There was a 5-point swing at one point where Zevi missed the 3 to cut it within maybe a 1-score game, and then Farmingdale went the other way and then pounded them.
Right. And then, so what happens in situations like that, you're never going to – there are no 13-point shots. So you just have to break the game up, and you just go, okay, let's get it to 7 to 10, 5 at 5. So I get 5 minutes to shave off 2 points. And at 5 at 5, I'm in a 2-possession game. So that's what I'm looking for in something like that. There is no, you're not going to – that basketball team has a scouting report too. That basketball team knows what they're doing too. So
very good coach.
Yeah, Toomey's great.
So I mean, when you have all those things going on, you have to compartmentalize and say, well, now if you go back to watch the game, unlike what some say, I don't know, mathematicians or fanboys would have to say, coach watches the game like me. I'm watching the game going like, we're doing a hell of a job. We're doing a good job here. We just didn't make shots. And there's a difference between execution and and I kind of knew that all the fanboys were like, well, lost the game, so we must not have. Nothing could be further from the truth. I actually watched the game. I haven't gotten back to the whole replay. I think I'm about 10 minutes left in the game.
Right.
But up to that point, I'm actually kind of happy because I think, okay, we're just not making shots. And when we're, I don't remember the turnover number, Oren, maybe you know what it was, but it was limited. We kind of got great spacing. We didn't necessarily hit everybody on screens, and we were some guys.
Only 11 turnovers.
Yeah,
if anything, there were more turnovers in the game last night.
No question about it.
Oh, last night was, we'll get to last night soon. But go ahead.
Yeah,
one game at a time.
So this is my point. My point is that sometimes, most of the time, I wouldn't even say most of the time, you could make book on the fact that coaches who know what they're doing have a totally different view. Let me say this, Oren, Jack. Sometimes I'll watch film and I'm watching basketball. And other people will watch film and they are watching the migration habits of pelicans in 1571 Saudi Arabia. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're watching two different things. So when you come up to me and you're starting telling me what we should be doing, I'm just kind of sitting there going Pelicans, and I'm not talking to New Orleans Pelicans. I'm talking about the Saudi Arabian Pelicans. Like we're not on the, we are talking past each other because you can't figure out what in the world I'm talking about. And I could spend 5 hours with you and you're going to be stuck in your fanboy thumb or your statistical analysis and totally forget the fact that there was real process going on here. So go ahead, Jack. What were you going to say?
I wanted to ask,
I'm in the mood tonight, gentlemen. I'm in the mood tonight. So.
Let's go. I love it.
Not tonight. I should be doing the podcast.
The viewers will love it. The viewers will love it.
Believe me, we're all having fun.
We want the truth. We want the truth. We
can handle the truth. No, I had a question. You had mentioned to me that first 7 minutes was perhaps the best 7 minutes of motion that have been run by certain players and certain that we look really good. And in the first half, we were tight. I think we were winning at half, or it was very close. I'm looking at the box score here. Maybe that's a fault that people could run into. And I'm looking at the final score, and this is something that we had talked about earlier, but I want to get it out there so that everyone could hear the response to this. If the motion itself is created kind of like Phil, if I'm wrong, correct me, but the idea is similar to Phil Jackson's triangle where everyone is touching the ball. It's different, obviously, because you're doing different things, but the objective is team first. Is the motion failing when we have a situation where Zevi Samet's shooting 29 shots, he's shooting 3 for 11, which means the good of a shooter he is. That means most of those threes weren't necessarily good, because if they're good, he's hitting them. And the next most shots taken are 9, 7, 3, 5.
No.
Was that maybe the second half flapping? No. Was that just we just got good shots and missed?
Well, I try not to. I never mess with shooters. Okay, I just think shoot, and that's what's up. Right. I think there are a lot of people. The poor kid's 19 years old, and guys who have no idea what they're talking about. We're all over the kid, and that's just nonsense to me. Let me tell you what I saw. I saw for the first, probably till the last 5 minutes, he was great, really good. He just missed shots.
Right,
that's going to happen. The other team defends too. Like we forget that. The other guy, they're guarding also. So no, it's not an equal opportunity offense. Anybody who wants to play that can just go play someplace else. Like, coming into YU, just look at it. It wasn't equal opportunity when Simcha was there. It wasn't equal opportunity when Ryan was there. It's not going to be equal opportunity when these guys are here. Now, is it always going to be that kind of distribution? Of course not, because one night, Dotan might be the guy. And the other night, Max might be the guy. God willing, it should come soon enough.
Last night, Batesh was the guy.
Last night, Batesh was the guy. So all that other stuff, like people get lost in the 29. I thought Zevi's a freshman in his 5th college game.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Guys got to lighten up on the guy. Like, Like we're holding him to the same standard as we hold seniors, and that's ridiculous. All of them are freshmen. So when I watch it, let's go back. I was around when we installed this the first time. So I know what this looks like, and I know what this process is supposed to be.
Right.
Oren, you and I at the time had talked about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bumpy road. And
we talked about this even before Donnie started YU.
Fact. Yeah. And that we were going to do this. And you know, the cool part about that, Oren, was there were 7 people in the gym.
Right.
Outside of players. So when we talked about it, nobody
right before there was a buzz. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then, like I look back on Donnie's first home game. I mean, it's me. It's Lior and Janet, and it's the Bergs, and you know, like a handful
of student walked in.
The original crew, the non-bandwagoners.
Yeah.
There was nobody there. Everybody, of course, now 1,000 people were there, but it was nobody there when.
I remember.
Nobody
there. The 3 of us were here before it was cool.
That's right.
I can't say I'm on the level of you guys in terms of being a fan. I was a player though at a time when nobody was going to the gym.
That's right, and nobody was going to the game, and we had 100 years of evidence to prove that it wasn't worth your time to come to the game.
No, that 100%.
We had to change that. We 100%. Had to change it. So there's a way to change it, and there's a way not to. So I have been through we have been through this process before.
Sure.
And I think it's so funny when I hear some guys say like, and I laugh about this with your son Ellie all the time. That if I would have had Ryan, if I had Gabe, I would have. But brother, you weren't getting Ryan. You know, you weren't gonna get him, my man. You did not have. You know, there have been historical chances for you to get one of those, and it didn't work out. My brother. My main man, you know, that wasn't going to happen. But yeah.
By the way, as you saw last year, it's not easy to coach those guys.
Right.
Like it's not because
really harder to coach a team.
It's not easy to coach a team like that. It's difficult to coach a team like that. Everybody thinks they can do it. Well, if I had them, if you had them, I'd put money. Here's what I do know.
They don't show up to practice. If they have them.
Yeah.
Well, look. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Here's what I know. I know that when we had them, we did things no one had ever done there. And what the advantage we had at the time is that we could let Donnie and Simcha grow into their job. And Simcha had dog nights, like just nights where now look, he was such a great shooter. They didn't have a lot of them, but he had nights where he just wasn't good.
No, he also had nights when he was a junior or senior, actually, when he was a senior, where they doubled him. Like he just didn't go 7 points. But you know, by that point, we had so many vets that they just all right. So now, okay, you're not going to score. Donnie's going to score.
Yeah. Coach, I totally agree with you. I think that the defenses of Zevi are totally valid. I think just to play devil's advocate, I'm not even so sure I'm playing devil's advocate here. You know, but I will say the Illinois Wesleyan game, maybe they weren't able to really execute a scouting plan on him because he had only played 1 collegiate game before. Farmingdale did execute a good defensive plan against him. And now just last night, true, he was in foul trouble, but only 6 shot attempts. So,
but look, I think I haven't gotten this. I haven't spoken to Zevi, so I can't tell you this for sure, but I can tell you from my experience what I think is going on with that.
Right.
And that was just like, somebody's in his ear about 29. He's 19 years old. He's not going to.
Right. That shouldn't happen.
And all these guys just running their mouth like they know what the hell they're talking about. Shut up. I'm just telling you, shut up. You have an opinion. It's not a problem. But if you're going to broadcast your opinion, get used to getting punched in the mouth with it. You know what I mean?
100%.
Shut up. He's 19 years old.
Yeah.
You blame me. You want to blame us? Coaches, I'm too old. I don't even care. You know, you do whatever you want.
Yeah, of course.
Just say whatever you want. A coach thinks it. Well, whoever said, let me just say this. Whoever said that I thought that the response I would have to our play on Friday night or Saturday night, on Saturday night, only Rabbi Berman called me up. On Saturday night on Saturday night, anybody would think that on Saturday night, I would say, well, we were great on Saturday night offensively from the standpoint of not great per se, but great for the fifth game of these guys' career,
right?
And trying to mess with these other guys.
It's a great team with a coach that has a plan.
If you called me up on Friday and said, what are they going to do? Here's what they're going to do. They're going to hang in the paint, and they're going to guard Zevi with Powell. And it's not like they did everything we thought they would.
What would you have, if looking at that game, like noticing how we did get open shots. Was there anything you would have changed?
No. Let's get open. We got great looks. We missed them. You know what that is? That's basketball. I always tell people, Will Chamberlain is, regardless of what everybody wants to say, including your brother who says that Will Chamberlain played against milkmen and post-ups guys.
I know where you're going with this. I have a counter.
He is the all-time greatest rebounder in the history of the league.
Okay.
Which means that in the greatest league in the world, there were thousands of rebounds for people to get. So we're going to take a bunch of 19-year-olds essentially and hold them to a higher standard than the players in the greatest league in the world, because guys miss shots. That's what happens. We had 11 turnovers.
Yeah.
If you go through a game with 11 turnovers,
pretty good.
You should win the ball game, or at least compete.
11 turnovers with no Zach.
What's that?
11 turnovers with no Zach.
Yeah, we missed shots. That was the problem.
So ironically, do you think there are more positives to draw from the loss on Saturday night compared to the win last night?
I'll be honest with you. I can't think of one positive from.
Let's hear about your thoughts.
It was ugly. It was ugly. And Jack and I want to get your perspective on this. Jack and I talked about this before we went live with this podcast. We think the lack of a natural point guard is vulnerable to the press. What's your perspective?
We want to ask you, because we're talking and we see that they're pressing, and we have like Dotan, who's a rookie, Matan, who's not he's got a left hand. He's not a great ball handler. I'm not going to call him that. He's not a bad one, but he's not a great one. And when you see a press like that, where it's not a general man, they're kind of man, kind of trap, kind of rushing. Do you think the lack of a natural point with Max injured and Adi out, did that take us out of our stuff? Are we worried about that?
I personally don't think so. One, because they got no turnovers on it. We turned the ball over on other stuff.
Right.
But we didn't really turn the ball over against the press. I personally don't think you should be dribbling against it anyway, because there's layups at the end. Look, here's how I teach my guys. And if you clowns are listening to this, you can repeat it with me. You get 5 seconds out of bounds. You get 10 seconds in the backcourt. That's 15 seconds, and we can still get a layup. But what we tend to do, or what guys, I don't even know how to say this. We should be playing north and south. We're playing east and west. If you play north and south, there are layups at the other end. Wide open looks at the other end. You play east and west, and sorry about this, guy. You've essentially made them do nothing. Right?
Right.
They're just throwing the ball back and forth. We're at the beach, and now there's 18 seconds to go on the shot.
Podcast.
Right.
My name is
Oren
Glickman.
To me, I'm attacking the press. It's a fair point in regards to the point guard. But let me say one other thing, and Jack, I told you this the other day.
Yeah, well, you got to bring.
And this is another distinction that I think all these young coaches and coaches who are listening to this podcast need to think about.
No introduction.
Because I'll preface it by saying this: I have never. I'm doing this for over 40 years. I have never numbered a player once. I never said to a guy, "You're the one, you're the two." I don't even know what the hell that means. I remember. Listen, that's a great story. I'm teaching a kid
this evening, and looking forward to a
parents want me teaching some basketball, so I'm teaching them. His friend comes. He's about 6'1". Plays at a school out in Silver Spring. So we're just going to do a little ball handling. I tend not to do a lot of it. We're going to do a little bit of it. So I say to the kid, he said, "Well, I don't dribble."
He's a mentor.
I said, "What?"
To Coach Ali.
He's an 8th grader.
A mentor to some.
I said, "What?" He said, "I don't dribble." I said, "Why don't you dribble?"
Turell,
he said, "My coach said I'm a 5."
Such as Samir
I said, "Your coach said you're a 5. Son, Shaq's a 5.
Those names. And if
you're a 6'1" Jew. This is about as big as you're ever going to get. So if you want to keep playing basketball, you better get yourself a handle. But think about what you just did to that 8th grade kid. He's a 5? You go back to the basket, that boy, in 8th grade? Is that what we're going to do? Mike Krzyzewski, I heard a quote from Mike Krzyzewski years ago, like 2 decades. He said, if you, and this kind of goes to my actually offensive thinking. If you take a plant and you stick it in a pot, it will take the shape of the pot. If you take that same plant and put it outside, it'll be all over the place. It'll grow exponentially. Well, that's the same thing in basketball. You tell a kid who's in 8th grade, you are a 5. He's a 5. And he's going to play like he's a 5. And he's going to stink by the time he's 17 years old.
Right.
Because he's a 6'1" 5. You know where we do that? There are leagues that we know about that do that to kids today.
Yeah.
Because I go 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what? You know what I never did? I never did that once. So I start by saying that, okay? I never did that. Still haven't. Even on inbounds plays or not, I haven't run a straight. This is truth. I haven't run an inbounds play in 3 decades, at least. Not once. I take our motion and we invert it. That's all we do.
From under the basket.
Yeah, it's not complicated. Just pretend you're at the point. It's just not complicated. Why would I have to do anything? And what I'd like to do, let's address this, and then I'll ask you guys to bring me back to where I was going.
No problem.
I'll get lost in the thought, but and I'm not even sure, not even sure where I was going. Remind me, it's about bringing the ball up the floor, so I'll get there in a minute.
Well, then preventing us from getting into our offense, perhaps.
Yeah. So let me, you have, if you coach like a minor league or a bitty league team, we're going to run this inbounds play. So here's what guys always do, and it's always blown my mind. The 3 is going to take it out, or the 4 is going to take it out. So the 3 takes it out. The 4 screens for the 5, and the 1 screens for the 2. Okay? Right? Sound about right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've never understood why the 5 didn't screen for the 1 and a 4 didn't screen for the 2. Because if you want to make that switch on that screen, then I'm going to make you make a big little switch.
Right.
But if the 4 screens for the 5, we did nothing.
You did nothing, right? Now you just
1 screen for the 2, you do nothing. 1 screen for the 3, you did nothing.
Right.
That's why I never number anybody. But whenever we screen, we're, in an inbound situation, we don't really care. It's natural to our guys now. But we're trying to get, if you want to switch, we're going to switch into a mismatch. And if you want to switch into the, but nobody thinks basketball that way. Well, the book said to have the 4 screen for the 5, and then the 5 slips over, screens for the 2. Who's coming off.
That's a really good point. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to
steal it as much as you want.
There.
But think about how many times you did it when you were coaching bitty ball, Jack. And you're like, the 1 screens for the 2, and then the 4 screens for the 5, and then the 5 swings around and gets the 3 coming in from out about. The hell? Dude, just invert. Just have the bigs and the littles. I remember when I was coaching in college, I was coaching at Goucher, and coach was putting in this inbounds play. I'm like, Coach, why are we doing that? Why do we have the 6'6" screen for the 6'8"? Why don't we have the 5'10" screen for the 6'8", or the 6'8" screen for the 5'10"? Because if they want to switch that, you're either going to switch it and we're going to get a mismatch, or you're not going to switch it and we're going to be open when we hit you. That's what's up. Like I said, my basketball brain works a little different than a lot of other guys. So, and on that point, now I'll come back to it. You don't have to be a great ball handler. Let's address the Matan thing for a second. You don't have to be a great ball handler. You only have to be as good a ball handler as the guy guarding you can guard the ball. You follow me, Oren?
Yeah.
You don't have to be a great ball handler. This is for coaches outside, because everyone's like, well, he's the one, so he brings it up. I'm like, screw that. Nonsense. You don't have to be a great ball handler. You just have to be better than the guy guarding you can guard the ball. So if you got some kid who's a little lanky in your lineup, he's your lanky 5, and he's going against a big foot, size 16 foot, 225, 250 pound center, that boy can't guard the ball. Have him bring it up. And then we just get right into our offense. I mean, guys that plays, I'm just saying with us. So to answer your question, Jack, there's some validity to what you're saying. And obviously we want Max or Zebi or more than Oren with the ball. obviously.
Yeah.
But if not, so, the guy bringing up the ball should be the guy whose guy can't guard it. You know what I mean? And then that kind of takes your press and throws it out the door. Because we're just going to use Dotan, and the guy checking Dotan couldn't guard it.
No, he did force a carry though.
He did, but that's just Dotan. It wasn't like a forced carry.
No, it was just
Dotan carry in the back. Yeah, that was a Dotan carry in the back. And that's the thing, he's a basketball player. It's going to happen. So there are, but let's go with last night. I want to address last night.
Let's do it. Yeah, so
we could circle all the way back. But I think this is an important. I've always told my team, I would much rather you as kids and players would much rather lose and play well than win and play poorly. Because if you win and play poorly, you're going to be hell to pay when it comes Monday. You know what I mean? Like, we're either getting better or we're not. And I'll make this one point. If you're happy with the game last night, then you came to this university 20 years too late. Because in the 90s, they'd jump for that. We won the game. This is not the place for you if you're happy with the way we played last night.
Yeah.
This is not the team for you if you're happy with the way we played last night. There are expectations that come with what we have done. And I say we as a community, not necessarily the coaching stuff, but we know what we expect from us. Honestly, we didn't run. I couldn't imagine we would crowd the lane line like we did. That was just ridiculous. Our spacing was confined to a 12-foot area. So while there may be those other people on that who assume that I would say, well, we won the game and our stuff didn't work with the lick last night. We got great stuff. Got a back cut from Adi right away with Mr. Reverse Layup, not only to call him out. But you got to make that shot. You're like a junior, senior, and he knows that. He's not going to.
Even down the stretch, it didn't even seem like they defended all that well.
We didn't guard anybody.
They didn't protect the perimeter at all, and they just got lucky towards the end when they were not hitting their threes anymore.
I'm saying we, because it's as much my responsibility as part of what we're doing, and Ellie's responsibility, and Joe's responsibility, and Donna's responsibility, and Mike's responsibility, as it is every player on the team. And if you're happy with what happened last night, you know what you do in a game like that? You grab your clothes, you skip the shower, you get on the bus just in case they made a mistake. So you stunk out the joint from jump. You stunk. Last night, like I said, you get the win, and that's great, and we need to get as many wins as we can. That's what you get paid to do in college. Right. But if you're happy with the way we played, this is not the university for you. This is not the team to play for. Go play elsewhere. Or go back in the time machine and play 20 years ago here, because that would have been one of your 6 wins, and you'd have been happy that you got one. I'm thinking we have set a different standard now. And if somebody's mad at me for saying it, be mad at me. I don't really care.
Are we 2 3-point reliant, this team?
As far as I'm concerned, we're always 2 3-point reliant.
Yeah, it's been that way even with the
But to be fair, in years past, while we've had excellent shooters, we've had Gabe, Donnie in the post up, Ryan in the post up. I don't see us doing a lot of that this year.
We've had great post passers and post finishers in the post. In other words, the whole idea of what we try to do is play inside out. Like I told you last week, we're an analytics nightmare. Because we don't play the way analytics wants us to play. We're currently doing that now. So we've become 2 3-point reliant. And interestingly enough, while we may have a professional shooter somewhere, we don't have professional talent around, so we don't have the analytics. The numbers don't lie, but the talent does.
Right.
But, actually, the talent tells the truth, and it makes liars out of the number. So,
yeah.
But again, that was, I think, the most important lesson, Oren. We were just crap last night. I couldn't even. My wife wondered why I wasn't saying anything, because I'm usually like throwing stuff at my TV.
Right.
I'm one of those guys. Like it's funny when I'm at the game, I don't necessarily do that. But when I'm alone, I could be screaming at Oren Glickman or the play-by-play guy or whatever. And nobody say a word, or Jack, sit down, like that kind of thing. But she was like, I said, no, I'm just watching. Honestly, I'm just watching.
It was very sloppy.
I'm just watching dog poop. We played. It was dog poop. It was like what in 5 minutes worth of film today. Just going through the first 5 minutes.
I mean, Jack and I were conversing throughout the game, and Jack, you can attest to this. I got frustrated every time Matan worked his butt off to get to the line, but it would be an empty trip.
Well, forget that 1 second. I mean, that's just you either make shots or you don't. You know what I mean? Like that's what's up with that. But if you're whoever, though, we're all hugging the lane line, which means you taking your spacing that's supposed to be 15, 18 feet apart, and you've turned it into a 12-foot phone booth and said, hey, we're going to get back cuts off this. Are you outside your mind?
Oh, I hear what you're saying. These are very excellent points.
We getting curls last night. We get any curls last night?
No, we got no. Well, early, maybe one. Maybe
we
one.
got stuff on a couple back screens actually by Zebi where we got some good stuff off.
Right, a couple.
But we did it inside a phone booth because whenever we make that back,
when you start the offense, you're setting your guys how far up.
We want to be outside the three. We want to start everything outside the three. Now, it wasn't always like that. I mean, it's kind of turned into that in the 21st century. And I always did it that way because I wanted room, because who we are, we're not the best ball handler. We're not just going to shake you off the dribble. It's just not the way we are. So we have to beat you here. We can't necessarily beat you here. We beat you here. That's what I mean. It's what I said last week. If you want to run that same nonsense that other team is running and the rest of the country is running, be prepared to get beat at some point.
Right.
But you're trying to win a national championship, or you're trying to win your league, and without that kind of talent or athleticism, and you're going to run that stuff, well, good luck. Because I'm telling you, at this place with our kids, it's not going to happen. So we have to be here.
Yeah.
We do some things that are a little more, I don't even want to say methodical because they're not, but they're more. It's not even an intellectual thing.
This is actually totally off point. I'm not even sure I should say it, but it's not. I agree that this year's team definitely does not have the top athletes or the top talent. Though Oren, great shooter, Zebi, great scorer, Matan, great scrappy guy, scrapper. Would you argue last year's team perhaps had that athleticism and top talent?
I mean, maybe we were 3 guys in. 4 guys in.
Right, but it's like Coach said, if we're lacking in that area, we have to make up for it with this.
Across the board, Jack, we're going to practice. Let's just take last year's team. Whatever to pick a team in the league, whatever team we played, they're going into their depth and they're getting athleticism they have to play. Right. We're going into our depth with our athleticism.
No. We don't have athletics.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Who do you think we're going against? So there is it's part of the distinction that you have to make. As a coach, you cannot afford to take a micro view because that will guarantee you're getting beat. You must take a macro view. And this entire year and the whole 4-year process of this class is going to be a macro view.
Yeah.
Part of the problem with the full bandwagon is everybody got something to say in the micro view that we have.
It's mega micro. You're 100% right.
And we need, we could take a macro view in every frame and every game, so to speak. But the view that we watch with the micro view is a macro view. So the process is a macro process, if you know what I mean. It's not just like there are some things that we could sacrifice tomorrow that will bite us in the rear end 2 years from now. Mm-hmm. We showed that last night. Last night, we showed that if we continue to do that, whatever the wagon seems to think is going to happen, I can promise you will not happen.
Right.
It won't happen. We just don't have the talent to override the mistakes that we're making last night.
Right.
Depends. Now, you want to be purchased? I mean, I don't want to say anything derogatory, but if I'm not mistaken, Oren, correct me. I'm trying to remember this.
Sure.
I think we got beat on the shot on the. We gave up 95 points. We got beat by Purchase that night in whatever, when we had that 17-game winning streak and we lost to Farmingdale, then lost to Purchase. We lost.
Yeah.
Before that, the only time they beat us once we got cooking was at a buzzer beater when the shot clock, we thought the shot clock sounded like the game clock. So we thought the game was over.
Yeah.
Don't get the buzzer.
Yeah.
You know. So that's the only time I remember since the playoff game. The freshman playoff game that you called. Since then, we lost that one. Now, we may have lost another one. I don't think so. We lost that one in Donnie's sophomore year, and then we lost that one in Donnie's junior year.
Yeah.
Okay. But then they were the best team on the other side, and we ripped them something terrible that senior year.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think they've beat us since then.
No.
So, like, we kind of have their number
Yeah.
a little bit. Most of the time, we've been playing over there. And the facts are, we were straight up dog poop last night.
Yeah.
So I'm the exact opposite of what people would think I was going to say.
Right, because people had the negative reactions after the Farmingdale game and the positive reactions last night because it was a win.
Macro view, micro view. Or let's just say basketball, Pelicans, Saudi Arabia. Everything. You know what I mean? Like that's my perspective on it. So I know I may piss people off here. I love this team. I love them. They're great people and they're great kids, and they are going to be great.
Yeah.
They're going to be great. And sometimes you pick a bad day to wet the bed. We just got lucky on that one. You know what I mean? Like that's why I say grab your clothes and get the hell out.
I agree. Sorry about that. My camera went out. It's acting shaky. I feel like we kind of scrapped that one out. You know, some games.
Yeah, there's something to be said for that. There's something to be said for that. Like it's a toughness thing. You stink all night. You find a way to win. I get it, and I like that.
But it's not. I agree. If I am playing on that team, and I've been in situations like that, you're not happy leaving. You don't leave this game satisfied as a player.
You feel like you got beat.
You feel like you won, but what was the positives? It's like moral victories and moral losses. Yeah, I'm not like some people don't believe in it, but I actually think there is something to it. That's a moral loss last night. Like we didn't really play that well.
Well, our play was immoral, but
immoral.
Look, it's my
even worse.
I feel responsible for that too. Because if you're going to stand on the positives, you have to take responsibility for the negatives.
Right.
So I'm saying on Saturday night, I was actually pretty good with what we did. I watched the game and I watched it over. I did film study on it, and I'm just kind of like, the only thing we could have done much different was make shots and guard somebody. I mean, we're not guarding anybody. That's a problem right now.
Right. Like
but we'll fix that. Like a lot of these guys are 6 games into their career.
Right.
Yeah.
Farmingdale's an experienced side.
I mean, they're essentially seniors.
Yeah. So as we transition now into the mixture of Skyline competition and non-conference games, but against solid Division III programs where you still want to give it your all, how do you feel Elliott approaches it with the rotation each game?
Well, I think now the question is, Adi going to be healthy enough to play? Not sure about that.
I don't think so. I don't think he. Yeah, it did look like you don't want to.
Seems like a bad concussion.
Rush to the head.
I'm not sure Max is coming back right away, but he may. He's supposed to be Sunday. We'll see if he plays or not. And I'm telling you something else. That team coming in here Sunday.
They lost by 12 today to Babson.
I get it. There's some big boys over there, man.
Oh yeah,
they are huge.
Yeah, I think Amherst is one of those Division III programs that is.
NESCAC.
They're like competitive. They're like competitive in every sport.
Yeah, and they could be competitive for tallest man in college basketball every sport. You know what I mean? Like they're just big, 6'10s, 7'1" or something. Like they got some size. They got 4 6'10s or something like that. I forgot.
Do you think Elliott sees the games as if like he wants to go all out, or he realizes now?
We're taking the floor to win. But the difference is, if we want to get where we want to go, sometimes we're going to get punched in the mouth and we have to deal with it. Like
Right.
people don't remember this. Jack, you might. We could not get them, by the way, to answer our call. Like Elliot had said to me, like how do we become like competitive nationally? I said we gotta get punched in the mouth. You gotta get pants pulled down in public and get your ass beat.
Right.
You gotta be willing to play them. It's not just going to Connecticut college. You gotta jack that schedule up.
Right.
You know, so
I remember it. Yeah, I remember he started booking Williams.
We got Williams, exactly.
Williams, and they were, that was a different.
Ryan's freshman year, we played Williams.
I played Williams. They were dunking. Mike Berg got dunked on. It was
but that's how you're going to have to do it. And
right.
It's not going to be pretty.
Well, so I think it goes back. Yeah, I think it goes back to the haters, you know, the people who we don't like, you know, the bandwagoners, you know, thinking like, you know, our ticket into the tournament right now, you know, because you already lost the Illinois Wesleyan St. Joe's game. So our ticket into the tournament is the Skyline games. Forget all about these non-conference games. Play the reserves.
Well, that's stupid. I'm not even going to have the Godfather like give credence to that comment. To just play the reserves in a game, you always play to win. What?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's dumb.
But here's the thing on the Williams thing. I remember whatever. Karkovich, I forgot his name, something of Vitch. Big 6'10". And I remember him flying out. Mike Iona had like a shot fake, kicked it to Donnie in the corner. It's like a thing I always used to show kids if you want to play college basketball. Donnie catches, and I mean it's out his hand, and there's 5 on a shot when he shoots it, and there's 5 on a shot when he catches it, and 5 on a shot when he releases it, which means it's out in a half second. And here comes 6'10". I mean, he is right in your junk. So you got to get it. You think you can play college basketball? You got to be able to do that.
Right.
And what went in, we took the lead 21-20, and I think that's the last time we had the lead. No, but I'm saying we were competitive for the first 12 minutes of the game.
Right.
Hey, listen,
and then we were in the game a little bit. We were just learning how to lose and win at the same time, if you know what I mean.
Also, and also these non-conference games, they're going to make you better in Skyline play.
No question about it. I don't listen to none of that. The reason we have a competitive schedule now is because we had a competitive schedule when we couldn't play it. You follow me?
Yeah.
The reason teams will play us now is because we went through that. Here's how you do it. I've been there. I know how to do it. Got embarrassed in public. And you get beat, and then you have a long memory. I remember when you came in here, lit us up a little bit like it was Christmas, you know? Like, we're going to return this favor one day. And then you go out to Williams and beat them, 2 years later. Because college basketball is cyclical. You get classes, then the classes graduate. And then, not as much in Division I anymore. But in Division III, you get classes, and the classes graduate. And then new classes come in. So if you're on a senior freshman, if you got freshmen when they got seniors, like we currently have with Farmingdale, it's going to be this kind of year for you. You're going to go up and down. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
They may not, because they have seniors. They may run the table. Who knows? But we're looking forward to playing them again in February.
Yeah.
We'll show up. We're not going to leave the bus in Washington Heights. We're going to be there. We're not afraid to go back, good as they may be. Let's go. Let's do it again.
Well, I'm circling back here, and this is a little more off topic. How do we get Xavier more open shots? He's had he is young. He's younger. They're treating him like a senior. They're putting their 22, 23 reclass physical guy on him to hold his jersey and grab his shorts.
Yeah.
Is it really on? I know, and how
do we get him open?
I'm all in with Coach on defending Zevi. I'm in that department, but is it really on the teammates, or is Zevi finding it more difficult to draw separation from his defenders?
Look, Zevi knows how to get over. We've had discussions with him about it. He knows exactly what to do. Yesterday, I think, was a combination of a lot of noise around us and the foul trouble. And then you never found a groove to play. But just to let you know, like he sent us a little reminder of exactly who he is with about a minute and a half to go. And,
that three at the top of the key.
In case you forgot I'm here, let me just remind you. Boom, shook. Guy kind of jumped at it. So he knows exactly how to get open. Jack, here's my deal on that. And it's really simple, and it's what mathematicians don't understand, okay? It's if we don't execute, we ain't going to get them shots. If we execute, we're going to get 29, 30, 45 of them.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what's up. It's all about execution. Look, because when you're crowding a lane line, the only thing you got is a fade. You want to talk about relying on a three. All you're going to do is run pops. And that's all you're going to do. You're never going to basket cut. You're never going to get the only reason we got the free throw line is with time.
What?
I mean, well, let me say this. I can say, because it wasn't a very well officiated game.
No.
They lost control.
And so those kind of games, you're just free throws are going to be shot.
Yeah, and they didn't let them play at all.
So what we try to do, as I've told you before, we want to make more free throws than our opponents shoot on the year and every night. And we also want to keep turnovers to a minimum. I mean, you have 11 turnovers. What did we have last night? 23?
We had, we had, that's really good on top of your head that you had that.
Farmingdale.
I have it in front of me.
Look, coach is right, I think.
23, exactly. No, that's exactly right.
18 assists?
We had 19 assists, 23. It's a terrible ratio.
I'm in that neighborhood, but here's the deal. I think we had 20 like right away in the second half. So we did a better job taking care of the basketball.
And wait, Farmingdale, we had 21 assists, 11 turnovers, 2-to-1 ratio. Very
also, I think there was a huge momentum shift with that Doton buzzer beating three before the half.
Possible, but then we came out.
We were only in that game.
Let me tell you something that nobody knows. Okay, I guarantee you, I may be the only one who said it. I said it at the time, and I got an acknowledgement from it with Elliot after the game, and especially today after you watch film. If you go back and watch the game, Oren has 20 points at the half, and every shot he shoots in the first 10 minutes of that half is short. Now, there's not a lot of them, but he missed a floater. Might have missed 2 threes, and they were all short, which means that well is about run dry. And then,
what's that mean?
Well, he just didn't have a lot left. And then
energy-wise,
well, just a whole mess of things. He's out of rhythm, and we're not getting him the ball because we're not doing a very good job of execution. And then
that's what short
setting his feet.
And then no, he's short. He's front rim and everything. And then so his legs are here, or his legs are there.
Right.
And then they made the absolute dumbest mistake you can make with a kid like that, because he is an outstanding shooter.
Yeah.
They made the most ridiculous mistake. Somebody got called for a technical foul. And
it was very unclear.
And he goes to the line and shoots 2, and I go, there might be some leaky water in this well. How do you let him get back off? He's done nothing for 10 minutes. STFU. Just shut up.
Right.
Somebody gets attacked. The kid goes to the line, bangs them both, and Katie barred the door. Boom, boom, boom.
Set him up.
Yeah. Let him right back in the game. The kid was out of it. He just wasn't shooting the ball very well at that point.
Yeah.
He was. I was tracking Oren because it was an analytics thing. I know, but I do find it intriguing. There's not 100% credence, but I did find it intriguing that Oren up to that night was shooting 46% from 3 on 31 attempts. So I wanted it, and he only shot 5 shots for Farmingdale, which I thought was a mistake. That was my personal opinion. I thought he needed to shoot more. So for fun, I was tracking his shooting throughout the night, just for fun, just to see it. I'm just learning as a student, just taking a look. And I did notice that, but until that point, he's about 2 of 7 And then he shot the free throws and he finished off the game, 8 for 11 from 3. He didn't miss another shot. He was on fire. That's a very good point.
Right. So think this through for a second. It's not necessarily those 5 shots against Farmingdale. How do I say this? It's not like we didn't get him the ball. It's did we all do enough to get him the ball, including Oren?
Right. Oh, yeah, he wasn't setting screens.
Oren knows how to get.
No, he wasn't setting screens. Well,
he knows how to get
call
open
him out here. He's a big boy. He's not going to get.
He knows how to get open in this offense.
Yeah.
Like, what you think they're going to leave you alone now? You think because you make some shots, they're going to leave you alone? No, you make shots. Great story. You remember? I heard this one from Kevin O'Neill, who I no longer talk to for whatever reason. and Kevin's coaching at Marquette. Okay. Now, do you remember William Gates from Hoop Dreams?
I don't know if I remember.
You see the movie Hoop Dreams, the documentary?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so the heavier dude who hurts his knee, right?
The main guy, yeah, of course.
He ends up going he ends up going to Marquette.
Right. Plays 4 years there.
Right. And I believe in his senior year, they're playing Cincinnati in the NCAA tournament. I heard this from Kevin, told this to me himself. Okay. Sorry to drop the name, but since nobody knows who Kevin is anymore, I can drop it.
Yeah.
So Kevin's like, the first time out of they're playing Cincinnati. I think it's Cincinnati. He's still at Cincinnati, and Huggins is coaching Cincinnati. and they're leaving Gates wide open from 3. I mean, wide open. And they come to the first TV timeout. He comes to the bench. He says, "Coach, I'm wide open here. Like, can I shoot this?" Kevin goes, I put my arm around him and I pointed, just like I point down to the other end of the floor. I go, "You see that guy right there? His name is Bob Huggins. They pay him over $1 million to make basketball decisions. Now, son, let me ask you, do you think this millionaire is making this decision and leaving you open on purpose or by accident?" He goes, the kid shot like 20% from 3.
Right.
So Bob's sitting there going, you shoot as many as you want. Okay. So he's like, you think that guy's leaving you open on purpose or by accident? So I got you, coach. And he sits back there. But I could make it. And Kevin's like, you probably could, but not today. Like it's not gonna happen. Like that. That's the whole, like that. People don't get that. Well, he's open, Yeah, there's a reason. That guy makes $1 million to make that decision, and he's deciding that you ain't good enough.
So
I'm a lead. Here's the parallel.
Yeah.
You think they gonna leave you open after you made 7 the day before, or you think you got to earn that?
You got to earn it,
right? So Zeb got to earn it from jump.
Well, after that Wesleyan game,
right,
that was
right.
Yeah.
Or then Oren hits a bunch against Webster. He got to come back down. You get Brooklyn's whatever.
Right.
But you know how to get open. You know what you have to do. You go squeeze. You go squeeze the paint.
Yeah.
You can deal with the repercussions of it, or you could do what you're supposed to do. I'm not calling out Oren. I'm saying to everybody, the whole team.
You could call out. Listen. It's okay to call out Oren. He's a senior
I'm not trying to call out Oren. I love Oren. I'm just saying.
I love Oren. Oren was at my Super Bowl party. Oren's dad and I are like this. There's no problem with making a constructive criticism.
No, I'm not. All I'm saying is they have a scouting report too. Right. They read the paper too. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so here's the story. I'm coaching at UMBC about read the paper, right? That's where I learned this lesson. I'm coaching at UMBC. It's 2 great stories with that. I'll get. So on that staff at UMBC, for those of you who know, I was on staff, but we're playing Xavier the day after Christmas. So shoot around is on Christmas. So who you think has to do shoot around? You have to open the gym and be there for them to have shoot around. Well, they let the Jewish guy do it. So everybody went home for Christmas and I'm alone. And it's Pete Gillen, Bobby Gonzalez, Louis Orr, and Skip Prosser. If you know anything about coaching, that's like Skip and Skip over Solomon, just such a great guy. And he coached here at Loyola in Baltimore. I became good friends with him. And then, so I had to take Pete Killen to the training room. Now, Xavier's a Jesuit university, right? So at UMBC, we're a state school. So
Right.
So I take him to the training room, and we have, those big Gatorade things where they have 1,000 Gatorades in there and on wheels and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about? Well, we got a whole bundle of them, but inside, instead of Gatorade, in the training room, we have condoms. It's an entire, sorry guys, it's an entire Gatorade thing of condoms. And I tell Pete, while you're in town, if your kids, it would take me, boy, the Jesuits would love this. He's like, this one, we do not have this back in Cincinnati. He's like, we don't do these. So anyway, so I have to do that. So the next day we're playing that. And the guy reffing the game is a childhood friend and teammate of our head coach, very famous referee in the ACC named Donnie Gray. So Donnie's doing our game. So we're in a coaches meeting before the game. And my boss goes, "We're in for a good night tonight, guys." I said, "Why is that hard?" And he goes, "Because Donnie's doing a game." Oh, I didn't know Donnie's doing a game. Okay. Donnie's going to take care of us. Okay. Whatever you say. It's Brian Grant. Y'all remember Brian Grant?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, Brian Grant.
The All-Star Lakers.
Yeah, Brian Grant's playing for Xavier, okay? And I mean, we're down maybe 30. And I'm Hawk's walking by and I go, "Hey, Hawk, when's this Donnie thing going to happen?" Because it's minus 30 at this point. He's like, "Harold, come on." And then Brian Grant catches this alley-oop and does like this 360 flush backward, and they call him for a travel. And Hawk's like, "See, I told you."
He's arrived.
Hawk, we are 32 points late. We are minus 32. Like, I know you love him and everything, and he was your teammate, but Jiminy Christmas, should have sent him a memo. And he would always say to me, "Harold, coaches read the paper too. They know referees read the paper too. They know who's supposed to win." But what are we doing here, Hawk? Then what? Like, why are we here?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm always saying. Like other teams have a scouting report too.
Yeah.
They know Oren can shoot. Well, how do we shake that? They know Zebi can shoot. How do we shake that? They know Matan likes to do certain things. How do we shake that? They know what hands we like to I'm not sure they all know, but they know, most of the teams know what we're doing. And you know what they usually say? They go, "Well, it's really hard to guard." That's what it's hard to guard. It's hard to replicate that in practice. You know what's easy to replicate in practice? Fill it in, Jack. What's the
PNR?
Huh?
The PNR.
Damn right. The ball screen.
Sure.
You know why? Because we see it every friggin' day.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and so
else kind of stands.
So now put it all together. We don't have those extra skills that other teams have. We don't have the depth of skill that every team. We're getting there. Okay. Right. We don't have the depth of skills that everybody has. We don't have the athleticism that everybody has, even though Ryan and, Ofek were there. We just, down the line, it wasn't all that athletic. We had good athletes, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't that.
Right.
It wasn't that.
Like when Illinois Weston walked in last year and 1 to 15 were slam dunking and looked like all were 6'5".
Yeah, there's something to that. But my response to that is, like I said last week, if they came in or spanked us after we did a hell of a job.
No, we didn't play well last year.
I was corrected by Akiva Poppers. I have to make this correction. Akiva Poppers listened to the podcast and corrected me and said it was actually like 2.1 passes per possession. Well, that's a hell of a lot better than 1.5. Are you kidding me? Like, it's half a pass more? Really? I'm excited about that, Pop. Like, my point still stayed the same. We didn't give them a run. And even with all their size and athleticism, we still didn't give them a run.
No.
We didn't stand up and punch them back.
I think there was a problem with last year's team that I think the win streak got to people's heads. I think there was I don't know if you guys remember, but as we were starting off the season, we were like going punch. We'd have these halftime games where it was like versus Manhattanville or Kalamazoo.
Right. The
State.
games were over before they even started.
No.
Oh,
No.
we the
Au
opposite.
contraire.
We were messing with them. It's 36-32 at the half.
36-32 against Kalamazoo Tech, a garbage squad, and we're supposed to be a number 1 ranked team. And you're just like, where's,
At some point.
Yeah. We coasted, and then when
there's got to be a sense of urgency at some point. I also want to, before I miss out, I should have said it earlier. Me, Oren, the Bergs, the
Hodes,
and Michael Stein.
Yes, Mike.
Maybe Nachum Spiegel
and Nachum.
Nachum was there too.
There was nobody in the gym, so that we could go through the process that we're going through now in silence, and knowing where we had to get to, and nobody was going to give their expertise opinion on it.
Oh, everyone's got it.
Right?
Yeah.
Everyone's got
an opinion now. I always go to you. We always go to you.
No, well,
maybe that's why you're the least educated of the bunch, fellas. I'm just saying, like, everybody got something to say, and nobody wants to know how the hot dog is made. They just want to eat the hot dog.
Right.
It's an old saying in showbiz, like after the first opening night of the show, everybody's uncle has notes. It's the same thing. Every game, every uncle, every cousin, every Zaidi, Rebbe, Chavruta, everyone's
absolutely 100% right.
Yeah.
As if
be able to block
I think we appreciate the fact that more people are invested.
We love that.
Yeah.
But know who you are.
Right.
And know, in other words, I always tell my players this. I may have said it last week. So
I think it's on the players to block it out more than it is on the fans to give
it. Is
agreed.
It is, but when you're a freshman, it's a lot harder. Yeah. Like when you're a freshman and they want you as a guest on their show, or they want you to sign their autographs, or they want you to come to their bar mitzvah. It's a whole nother animal.
A whole other ball game.
You understand? So you can't even. I remember we are playing in the playoffs. We're in the middle of 29 in a row. And, I get there early because I drive in, drive home. So I want to relax. So my wife and I actually went to eat at grandma's or something. And if you remember, you had to get a ticket.
Right.
You had to have a ticket.
Yeah.
So, and those things sold out. It went on.
I remember.
They were done in 10
value.
and 30 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're in a store. Grandma's eating lunch, and this young girl, she's probably 10, and her parents are sitting there. They're from Long Island. It's 4 p.m. Game time in 4 hours, and they're waiting for tickets. And they're like, we're hoping we could get some tickets, even though it's sold out. So we talked to them a little bit about the team. They don't know who we are. And the girl goes, I just want to see my favorite player. I said, well, who's your favorite player? And then she goes, 33, Donnie Katz.
Well, he's the cute one.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And she goes, no, he's my favorite. I also like Simcha and Gabe and Ryan, but my favorite is Donnie. And so I'm like, well, let's see if we can rustle you up some seats. And we got him some seats from whatever.
Yeah.
We said, okay, well, Donnie's our son. Oh my God. So we love that part about it. Okay. There's another part about it. And the whole other part is this is a process. And what you don't understand about what you think you don't know. Like you think well, it's college basketball, the win's a win. Sometimes the win in that situation is the worst thing to happen to you. So you have to let everybody know, again, I'll repeat it. If you're happy with what happened last night, you came to the wrong place.
Right.
You are in the wrong universe.
Totally
you are 20 years behind the times.
Right.
Because this was acceptable back then. A win's a win.
I think that you made an excellent point that I want to hammer on, that it's so hard. Can you imagine just take back to being 19 years old and a year out of yeshiva, 2 years out of high school, 1 year, 2 years out of your 19.
He didn't have a senior season.
Right. But not only that, you have the I agree with Harold. and I said this to my brother who disagreed, and who, because
Now
he
I
didn't
know
watch
it.
the game. Ryan didn't watch the game. Ryan looked at the box score. Ryan was playing with Detroit. He calls me. He goes, "What the hell is this?" I said, "Ryan, I watched the game. Really, these were all good shots. Maybe at the very end, he jacked a few up because we needed to shoot."
Dude,
Right,
like
we're playing come from behind.
The problem with the fan base and being 19, and what all our freshmen need to learn to do is to block it all out. The only opinion that matters, mine doesn't mean squat. Oren's doesn't mean squat. Godfather's does. He has some attachment, but at the end of the day, really, the only opinion that matters should be Coach Steinmetz and what
Yeah,
he's
sure.
told to do.
Sure.
Everything else is crap.
Look, at the end of the day, I don't think he's giving it a thought. He's not on social media, first of all, which is to his benefit.
Beautiful.
And
Yes, but it might. You're telling me there's Ram and the Chavrusas and the people who talk to him as he's walking to Grandma's Pizza after Mincha at Gluck. You're telling me he's not hearing anything. Maybe he's not.
possible. It's
And
possible.
if he's not, great.
Look,
If he's
bro,
not-
But it's not
He's
just
doing
about
it
him. It's
right
not just about Zevi. It's not just about Zevi.
No, but I'm talking to everyone. Everyone's got to block everything. Roy Kavitsky,
It's
Dozan
all noise.
Markachev,
Ignore the noise.
all noise has got to be out.
Listen,
right. And that's what plagued the team last year, as Jack always says.
All the team last year ate noise. It got right to the heads. This guy thought he was better than that guy. That guy got better than this guy. This guy was at this Shabbos meal and thought he was this, and the New York Times is on the bus with the team. And the team the year prior was like, no, you're taking your own thing, as Harold said last week. Ignore the noise. That's the lesson.
the noise, well, excuse me for a second. When it's interesting because I don't think people understand the work it takes. Nachum always tried to get Donnie to tell him this answer, but every time he interviewed him, but Donnie just either didn't comprehend or didn't want to talk about it. But Donnie's probably in the summer of 9th grade going into 10th grade. And he says to me, "Dad, I want to play college basketball." I'm like, "Donnie, well, it takes work, man. You got to get in the gym." Like, it's kind of like that old Rocky thing. For a 45-minute fight, you have to be there 45,000 minutes to train and to do what. Look, I tell this to my team a lot, to play when the lights are on, you got to do the work when the lights are off. You understand? The work it takes, that every day after school, every single day. And I said, "Donnie, you got to ignore the noise, dude, because they're all going to tell you can't." Transformed his body from 10th to 11th grade. He's not going to be happy that I'm talking about it, but ignore the noise. And I'm telling you, if you listen to me now, it will get it done. But you have to forget. They're all going to tell you no. Ignore it. They don't know what they're talking about. I do, because it's what I do for a living. This is a great story. I take Donnie. I was working at Gautzer for like 20 years. So I'm gone now. And one of the guys I left, who the last couple of years I was there, he kind of doing some of our recruiting. Great guy. This kid played for us 20 years earlier. So I bring Donnie his senior year to a game. We always go to games, but we get there early. I know the guys, so I'm on the floor kind of talking a little bit. And this coach walks over. He goes, "Word on the street, he got slow feet." So I go, "Oh," he's talking about Donnie. "A word on the feet, he got slow feet." I said, "Oh, you mean like Larry Bird, Tim Duncan slow feet?" He go, "Coach, I'm just saying." I said, "I know what you're saying, but like that kind of slow feet, because Larry Bird had slow feet, Tim Duncan had slow feet. Coach, I'm just saying, Coach, that's the word." And Donnie heard that like his whole life. And so I remember telling this to the coach at Johns Hopkins, Bill Nelson, great guy.
Yeah.
And Bill says to me, they tell him to keep getting his track stars and we'll keep kicking his ass every time we play, which was going on for years. He goes, because like he said, I'm like Hubie Brown. If a mailbox can put it in the basket, I'm gonna find a way to get it in the lineup. And like, dude, if you get us buckets and you can stop them from getting buckets, we will find a way. And Nelson goes, the leading scorer I've ever had as a leading scorer in university is the slowest feet I've ever coached. He's also the best rebounder I've ever coached, the best passer I've ever coached, and the best scorer I've ever coached. And I will say, he coached Andy Enfield, the famous Andy Enfield, coaching over Gold Coast or USC right now, and it wasn't Andy. Understand? Ignore the noise, because everybody's going to tell you no, just like I guarantee you.
Ryan has a similar story. Ryan got kicked off as the number one AAU team for guys that are no longer playing basketball, that are done because he was too skinny, he was white, he couldn't jump, he was too skinny. Then he look at his older brother who had filled out and go, well, he could fill out. They just looked at him, they said he was too skinny. He got booted off his AAU one team, got moved to the 2nd team. And this is where Ryan comes out. It's actually a fun story also, but it's a alleged part. So guys who go on to have successful, incredible careers like Donnie and Ryan, this is for the kids out there. It's just a second example of blocking out a noise. But an example of this is when Ryan got his first scholarship offer. He would say the story probably better than me, but he gets kicked off the first team for another guy who could run, jump, slam, whatever, shoot it. Or the dad is a major donor and is another shooter. And what are you going to do?
Right.
He gets put the 2nd team. The first team, they enter this tournament in Las Vegas, and the first team's getting embarrassed by everyone. And they send him home, and they say, we're just going to play. And they have a game against Damian Lillard Elite, which is the top program. They send the top team home. We're going to play the 2nd team. We're throwing the game. So this way we have plausible deniability. You can say, oh, our 2nd team gets beat. And the coach says to him, like before the game, he said, it's just basketball. It's like, go out there and play. Everyone's counted you guys out. Like, no one thinks you guys could win this. You have nothing to lose. And that was a game Ryan he got the West Point offer. He had like 32. He had a great game. And, all she wrote. That's a side point. This is a fun anecdote, but it's just to piggyback off what the Godfather had said. There's always going to be doubters. You got to block out the noise.
Right. But it's just like there's doubters, there's jock sniffers too. And all the jock sniffers are around going, oh, you're the best. You
got a few bad stories on jock sniffers. Yeah, those might be even worse for you than the doubters.
Yeah. And so you have to ignore the noise. It goes both ways. Like you just have to, and what coaches have to do is we can't get caught, like we get as pissed off as everybody else watching the game, or, the difference is that we know how the food is made.
Right.
So we can't look at it the same way. We have to remind ourselves, because we're spoiled rotten. I don't know what it is, Oren, you can count it up, or maybe it's like before this year, what was it, 79 out of 89 or something? It was like some stupid number like that. So like we're 82 and 10 or 12.
Yeah.
Like we have some idea what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so everybody who thinks they know has no clue. And I don't care if you've done the school's t-shirts, you've done their analytics, you've done, I don't care who you think you are. You heard me. You don't know. You just don't know. You think you know because you're a mathematician. I don't ask you to do long division. I don't tell you, I don't correct your long division. Don't start telling me about that. I can't do long division. I can't do that. I can't do cosines. I already proved that in high school.
Look, even as
a matter of fact, 9th grade were the 4 hardest years of my life. But okay, that was funny. You guys just don't get it. Anyway, so you get it now?
Yeah. 9th
grade were the 4 hardest years of my life. You get that, Oren?
Yes.
Okay, that's where I was going with that. All right, for all you who missed it, I explained it to you. All right. But I'm saying that is kind of my point. It's just, to me, I wouldn't say it's a chutzpah, but it's like, exactly who do you think you really are? Like,
yeah.
I don't come to your job and start telling you what to do. Why do you think you have the right to come to our job and start telling us what we need to do? And then commenting on some 19-year-old who's just trying to figure this out.
No, definitely.
We know where it's supposed to go, and it's really important for coaches to protect their players.
Look, I announced the team for 4 years, and all those games that I called, I always made it about the players. It was never about me.
I got to defend the mathematicians here. At the end of the day, what they're putting out there is just for entertainment.
I get that. But listen, Jack, I get it. But don't tell people what I'm going to say. Listen, I'm an expert at where my sentences are going. You understand?
Yeah,
I know where my sentences are supposed to go. But you go turn around and assume that because we lost a game, I'm gonna blame it on what.
Also,
I get it's entertainment value. Shut up.
Also, you're not just the Godfather. You're not just the Godfather. You're the Max Whisperer too.
No, I'm not taking that. Whatever you do, whatever you want with that. But what I'm saying is, I know what I feel. You don't need to speak for me. People know where to find me. I speak for my damn self, which I'm doing tonight. I'm restrained tonight because I was in some kind of mood for the last 2 days. Like that, watching this last night. It's like I know what we can be. And my simple question, I said to the guy at practice tonight, like, dude, is this the best you could play right now? Because if it isn't, I'm wrong. Because I know you're better than this now.
Which guy?
What kid who played for me? Whatever.
Oh, kid who played for me.
And I just go like, I know you're a better player than this. Are you telling me this is the best you could play? What do you think the kid's going to say? Of course it's not the best I could play. Okay, well then I wasn't wrong about you. Come out here, be the best player on the floor. And everybody, talking about how, like I get a lot of grief because I'm screaming and yelling and all that stuff. So we're playing someplace, and a former player of mine has a kid who used to play at whatever school it's at, and the parents are all up in arms about my behavior. I'm yelling and screaming, whatever. I'm just loud and intense. That's it. It's not. And so he says to the parents, I was the screaming, like I played for him. And I'm telling you right now, there was never a day where I did not know where I stood with him. I cannot say the same thing about my son who played here. There's never a day. And I apologize to the coach. I love the coach. I'm just saying, I probably shouldn't say this. Maybe we should even edit it. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But the fact is, my kids never have a day where they have to wonder where they stand with me.
Yeah.
Never.
Respectable.
I'd rather play for that coach than.
Who would you rather play for? Guys gonna hold you accountable? Like I'm just gonna hold your kid accountable. If you don't like that, you're playing in the wrong place. It's sort of like people who come to our school, know what we run, came to our school because of what we run. It looked fun. It looks like it's great to play in. And then they come here and go, well, we should do this. What? Go play someplace. You know what you're getting into here. Ball screen? Yeah. No, go back to where you came from. We don't run that offense here. We'll run it when we deem it appropriate. And we have instances where we can do it. And I don't even mind it that much within the context of, as long as we're doing things, whatever. The guys know what.
Well, this year we definitely don't have the team to run whatever that is. Well, I don't know what that we're referring to, but if there was that time to be flexible, it was last year. And
but here's my thing, though.
There's no that.
But you came here knowing we don't do it. How do you know that? Because you watched us play and never saw it. And so it's kind of like the people who leave New York and go to Florida and then vote the way they voted in New York. Right. They left New York because it was too tax burdensome and it was too litigious and it was too legislative. So they wanted some more freedom. So they go to Florida.
Right.
Where you get freedom. Then they go to Florida and they start voting like they're in New York.
Right.
They want some kind of Democrat, tax and spend liberal or something come over there like they have in New York. Be like, dude, you left that area. Now you want to turn this area down? Go help that.
Right.
But you left it.
Like a good comparison. Harold, you're sounding like a Texan, my man.
All I'm saying is It's the same thing. You don't like what we do here, you don't have to play here. Strictly voluntary.
Right.
I actually don't know why more people don't transfer that. Then they get here and they go, I don't fit into this. I have actually respect for people who, like, if I was a guy who showed up, I like a guy like Dylan Holt, I have a lot of respect for, where he's like, he didn't want to play in that system. He didn't get the guaranteed minutes that he wanted. He went to a place that
Skyline competitor
getting minutes. So respecting him, like, hell yeah, go. If you're in a company, if you're in the workforce and you like, you talk to Google, you give your salary, you give your tributations, and Google says, we can't guarantee that, we can't promise that. And you go over to Yahoo or you go over to some startup, but you get what you want. That's huge. Good on you. That's like a good parallel. So too, like, for guys who come here and are like, yeah, I should be playing. Like, basketball's everything to me. I should be transfer. Go transfer.
But here's the thing. I don't want anybody. Here, look. There's an old saying in coaching: is the way that successful coaching is, you're going to have 5 guys who like you because you play them all the time, and 5 guys who hate you because you never play them. And the key to coaching is keeping the 5 guys in the middle away from the 5 guys who hate you. So, like, that's like an old coaching thing. But I don't want any player who's happy sitting here, because you don't compete enough for me.
Right.
Again, you're 20 years too late.
Right. Happy.
Like there was a time.
So wait, you wouldn't want a player who's happy, like, sitting, like as a bet, like he knows his role.
Oh,
he knows
totally
he can bring it in
things.
practice.
I like role guys.
Right, like a Gob Landau. He's great to have.
I like role guys. Don't get me wrong. I like guys like that. But every one of them better want to be the guy. Like, not be the man, but every one of them better want to be able to compete and play.
Right.
If you doesn't, you're in the wrong place. This is competitive athletics.
Yeah.
This is not Little League. And by the way, that goes back to the shot selection thing and the shot number and all that. If you want equal distribution, go play Sunday at the rec center. Go to the JCC.
That's actually probably less equal distribution. I'll play Sunday at 24-hour fitness and have 3 guys that look like Harold. No, they look like Brad Turell, and I'm not getting.
I worked. You can say me.
Brad Turell played Division I ball.
I'll have Leo, Harold, and Brad. I'll have Akiva Poppers, Harold, Brad, and Leo as my other 4, and I won't see the ball. Sometimes it's really rough at 24-hour.
Yeah, well,
Poppers might be in the most shape among that 5.
He might be.
That too, Brute. Really, Oren? Really?
Oh, boy.
Like that after all I've done for you? Oh my God. Wow.
Little light humor there.
I worked hard on my body, guys.
No, you look great.
By the way, to be honest, I've had 5 children, so let's.
I
pounded to you in the post every time.
We're not going to age more than shape here. I think you look great.
Yeah.
We didn't say the handsomest. We went handsomest. Harold's number 1. That's bar none.
Yeah.
We're going
nice try, but my wife is the eye candy in the relationship.
There you go. Fair enough. Good answer. Good answer. See, those watching out could learn more than just basketball here. It's the marriage tips.
Yeah.
So
I tell my wife there's only 2 things I know in this entire world. One's basketball, and the other's women. And she looked at me and she went, "Well, at least you know basketball." That's basically our relationship.
There you go.
That's the home that Donnie grew up in, right? So, but what I'm saying is, like, you know what we do. This is what we do. You watch us play. And then you go, okay, when I get there, we're going to do that. What? No, what? No, that ain't going to happen.
So
there's a guy on the team that, or he used to be on the team. He's not on the team anymore. He got cut, and he'll like, I'll text him like, "Hey, I'm in this rec league. They're looking for guys. You used to play on the team. It'll be good competitive." And he'll text like, "Is it going to be scouts? Is it going to be coaches?" I'm like, "Bro, if you're still looking for that, like, call Sarah Lawrence. Like, call a school that could use a guy who played in a program like YU, and you'll get a shot because you played for YU. Like, go play for, because I'm calling you because you love to play, and it's just to play. If I'm calling you, it's to play because you love playing. If you're still looking for that, call Sarah Lawrence. Call another school. I'm only saying Sarah Lawrence because I'm familiar with the school. I have friends who go there, so I'm not shouting out a school. Call
that is the
Pratt. Call it
in school. That's the point.
Get out of here.
Yeah, like, if you're not happy, there's no reason to stay. My own opinion. I've always said that. Go play soccer or something like that.
Go play volleyball. Oren, you were saying you wanted to segue.
No, I agree with all this. In fact, it reminds me of my cousin who played high school basketball in Michigan. He had this sweatshirt, and it was a quote from the coach: "If you ain't working, you ain't playing."
There you go.
Yeah.
I know if my guys are listening, pay attention, fellas, because you hear this every day. It takes zero talent to hustle. Effort takes zero talent. And yet, we'll be watching a college basketball game, and there is, I'm not saying at YU, because I think most of the guys bust their ass.
Yeah.
But there is zero effort. And I just look at it and go, are you kidding me? Like, that guy's playing. It takes zero talent. It's a Joe Paterno thing. It takes zero talent to show effort. Effort has no talent attached to it. So what kind of motor do you got? Well, listen, okay, for all the young coaches growing up on the Steph Curry thing, here's something for you. The most important thing in basketball will never change. It is always about these four things: catching, passing, layups, free throws. End of discussion. I don't care how great you shoot the basketball. Passing, catching, layups, free throws. That is the essence of basketball. And most importantly, the little kids is listening and paying attention. Sometimes adults too. So listen and pay attention is your kind of underlying thing. But on the floor, passing, you can't pass, catch, you can't catch, you can't play. You just can't play. It starts and ends there. Passing, catching, layups, and free throws. You shoot as many threes as you want in the gym. I always get a kick out of people. They come in the gym. What's the first thing they do? Grab a ball and then do what?
Shoot a three.
Sit around.
What the hell? Like,
I fall for this too. I have a really bad habit of doing this all the time. I always grab it and shoot the three.
What?
It's true.
Like, I've never in my life.
Dad used to pull my ear. Right, Brad never gets physical. Laurel's the pull the ear type, but the one thing my dad would get, he used to pull my ear when he'd see me in high school, come out of halftime and take a bunch of threes. He'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Right here at the bucket.
Yeah.
Work your way back. But kids don't listen. You know, everybody wants to be Steph, you know. So it's almost like the combination. Well, I think it goes hand in hand. Analytics and the 3-point shot is kind of, to me, it's
so here's where, and maybe we actually agree on this, and maybe we don't, but here's where I think that the analytics are helpful. Whereas I agree you'll have situations where you have a player shooting more threes when he shouldn't be, right? That's a downfall. But I think an uptick, you'll take a look, an example would be, and I'm going to use it because it just happened, would be an Oren, could be a little tentative. And you look at his statistics and you look at, he shot 31 attempts, he's shooting 46%. Well, he just needs to shoot those. He just needs to shoot more threes, because if he shoots 10 threes, he's going to make 4. If he only shoots 7.
Well, how many field goal attempts does he have? I mean, he's got a couple pull-up jumpers, but what are you talking about? 41 attempts instead of 31? Like, he's maybe 10 shots?
Shot, how many shots did he shoot last night?
I think he was 10 of 15.
He was 10 of 15. So he shot 10 more shots. I think that's where analytics could be good. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily.
What I'm telling you is he took 11 threes, so he took 4 shots inside of 3. So I'm saying he probably has like 10 or 12 of them on a year.
10 or 12 more. Right. No, so yeah.
No, 10 mid-range shots. Or at the party, you know, he's like, if he has 31 threes, he's probably shot 45 shots on the year.
Right. I don't know why I lost you guys. Oh, yeah, Zoom.
Am I close? I got to know if I'm close on that. But that's kind of the point. And I think, or you know what I'm talking about? Like that, that's where I think that it, and he knows how to get more shots. We're talking to him all the time about it. I'm saying the Steph.
No, but I think that's where analytics in the 3-point boom could be useful. It's like,
really, because I look at the guy and I go, boy, that guy can shoot. And I didn't need one analytical analysis to tell me.
That's a good point. I test your work. But what about? I think Roy should shoot more threes.
Look,
he's got a wanky form, but statistically,
I'm a basketball coach now. My eyes have seen this stuff. Some kid that came up to me today, and like he was dribbling the ball. I said, "Coach, how many times do you think you heard this sound?" And he just dribbles it. He goes, in the hundreds of thousands? I go, nah, dude, I'm millions. I've heard that little dribble. I've heard that for 55 years. So like, how many dribbles do I think I've heard? Well over millions. Like, so my eyes, I know I don't need analytics to tell me what guy can do what.
Right.
You understand? Like that's the difference between me and another guy. Like, I'm not saying it's not good for a fan, as you say. The problem is when we let that dictate what we're doing. And that's why I guess that's why Shaq and Charles Barkley can't stand talking about it, because, excuse me, they know. Like there's like this. I don't mind analytics from the standpoint of it does help you with this or that. But like I have a shot chart, I still have it from the Kentucky, Rick Pitino, Kentucky against Michigan Final Four. And Rick Pitino was really the first guy who started doing that. In other words, he was like, if we take 10 shots and if I make 3 of them and shoot 33%. So he's like, if I make 3, I have to make 4 out of 10 and I'm beating you by 2 points if you make 5 out of 10 from 2. Well,
right.
That's a great argument.
Yeah.
Except if I'm making 7 out of 10, which is what Michigan did to Kentucky. So, like, it works as long as you can hold me under 50%. But all you got to do is look up Grinnell, one of the teams in Division III that scores about 150 points a game.
Grinnell they score historically.
And they never win, brother. They never win.
Is that true? Oh, they're never ranked. That's a good point.
Never.
I never see them with a ranking.
Because they can't guard their lunch. I mean, that's what's up. And
what does the Grinnell game look like? It must be crazy.
Well, in the past, we played teams like them. In the past, they just leave a guy at half court and just say, "We're going to play you 4 people back here on."
Why?
Because
what's the
thought? Get that thing up the floor, and we're going to jack the 3, and we're not going to get stops anyway. So we're just going to get up here and play that pace and stuff like that.
Is it
it's not always like that.
Big program. Like they've had Jack Taylor, they've had some pretty like Jack Taylor, he's in the G League right now. He's a pretty good player. I don't know.
How many NCAA tournament games did he win in college?
No, nothing. That's not
150 points a night, and he didn't win a game in college. Like win a league, like there is a point where that stuff's gonna win you some games.
Yeah.
But at some point, you're gonna get against a guy who knows how to defend.
Right.
And knows how to stop your nonsense and just go, all right, go ahead and do what you want to do. But you're going home on Wednesday and I'm playing on Thursday.
Grinnell College argument's it's a good point. And there's
like the D'Antoni brothers did the same thing with the back to the basket. And it's kind of like that Mike D'Antoni's philosophy is kind of taken over. It's an analytics-based thing. I'm kind of like, all right, well, let me be there when he wins that first ring. Because he
hasn't won one. He hasn't won one.
And neither has his brother. And at some point,
where's his brother coach?
He coaches somewhere. I don't even know. I don't know if he's still coaching. But this is years back. But I'm just saying, at some point, somebody's going to be able to guard that.
Yeah.
There's going to be somebody who can guard, who's going to take offense to what you've done to the game. Like D'Antoni wants like 7-second possessions. Well, I'm going to make you play 15 seconds in that. I mean, here's another thing people don't get. Great coach told me this. Just brilliant man. Probably greatest coach who ever lived. And he said to me, if you want, your defense and offense has to correlate. So if you want to play 30 seconds of defense, you better work for a minute in a game. In practice. Like if you think you're going to be able to guard, because there's all your game slippage is whatever you prepare for, divide in half. Like that's what some young coaches don't get. You're going to get major game slippage because it's not practice. Whatever it is, whether it's the energy or the excitement or whatever, divide it in half. So if you want your team to guard for 30 seconds of possession, you better have them guard for a minute in practice. Because if they're only guarding for 20 seconds in practice, you're only getting about 10 seconds in a game.
Mm-hmm.
And most coaches don't understand what I just said. You know what I mean? Like they just don't, they can't. It's a much longer conversation, but that's sort of an inside baseball kind of thing here. You know what I mean? Like you have to prepare for your game slippage. That's real. the real thing. And so, again, it's not something a fan knows, so I don't expect them to know.
Yes.
So that's what's up.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When you look at the 3 wins thus far, Webster, Samet, and Bitesh balanced. St. Joe's Brooklyn, Samet goes off. Purchase, Bitesh goes off. One of those guys, or both of those guys, are not shooting the rock well. Is a path to victory very unlikely this season?
No. One, because Max hasn't played yet, and nobody understands that. I'm going to be really clear here, and I don't care if any of the players disagree with me, whatever. Zevi's our best scorer, but Max is our best player. And I'm not even sure it's close.
Oh, I agree. Max trained and practiced, but some top.
I'm saying, is that moving forward? I love Zevi. He's going to be a phenomenal player. He's going to be a pro if he wants to be. But like, there's just so much more he has to do. Now he'll get there, and he's going to be great. He's a very special talent. But right now,
you're not knocking Zevi. You're just talking about Max.
I'm just telling you right now, our best player is Max. And I mean, he makes us go, and we haven't played yet with him for the most part.
Right.
We played 5 minutes with Max out of a possible 240 minutes. He's played 5. So that'll just give you some insight into what we're not. So therefore, I don't put a lot of stock in that now. I want to go back to what Jack said. I mean, I think you have to play inside out even today. You got to play inside out. And I don't think most Division III, you still get it, where you get big post guys like we're going to see at Amherst. Like you still get guys who do that. Like you still get teams who pounded the rock inside, But for the most part,
my only worry is we really don't have a back to, other than Matan. How many guys on our team go back to the basket?
We could. I mean, Dotan can do it. Roy can do it.
Roy, yeah, they got to learn it. I haven't seen it.
Dotan can do it. Daniel can actually do it.
Daniel Margasol can. Yeah, he has a nice back.
Zevi can actually do it.
Yeah.
Like we honestly, guys, we're just spoiled. We've had 3 of the best passers in Division III for 5-6 years running.
Yeah.
Like we were lit. We could go every possession in the post because it was either going to be Donnie, Ryan, or Gabe, and we were going to not necessarily score from there, but score in there, but we score from there.
Or score from there. I mean, when Donnie had a post up, he was scoring. When Gabe had a post up, he was scoring.
I mean. Like when
Ryan had a post up, he was scoring. Donnie had his move. It was 1, 2, juke, hook. It was like Karl Malone Stockton. Like you knew it was coming, but he was still scoring it.
But the point is, he was such a good passer out of there, and Gabe was such a good passer out of there, and Ryan was such a good passer out of there. People forget that about Ryan, especially when he was younger. Like we post him up, and he'd pass out of there. So we had a lot of. There's a lot, especially when people come late to the game. Like most people came late to the game. So the fans now who are experts of all things YU basketball are like late to the game. I don't. Whatever happened before Elliott got there, I don't have any comment on.
Well, I think Oren has a question.
We have yet to put him on the spot for this podcast.
I've been told that you guys chickened out and you didn't put me on the spot. Put me on the spot. I don't have a problem.
How different would the reputation of the program be if Tamir had attended YU? Or is it just it's nonsensical to even think about?
Well, I'm not sure I should address this, but let me think.
Tried to put you on the spot.
No. You put me on the spot.
No comment. We respect it.
I promised Tamir I wouldn't say anything, but I'll tell you guys off the record. But I promised Tamir I wouldn't say anything.
All right, we don't
Okay,
have to say-
okay.
But I will say this. But I
You'd
will say
rather-
this. But I will say this. Obviously, it would have been different, but let's be really clear. It wasn't exciting basketball.
Right.
It was plotting. We're going to play zone here.
We're gonna walk it up.
Yeah, I have a name for it. I'm not sure I can say on this podcast. I'm trying to keep it clean.
Okay.
Bad. Let's do it this way. Here's what it is. You do this to me, I do this to you. You do this to me, I do this to you. That's essentially what Jewish bat. Now, there's a little more teams that are playing a little more traps and they're kind of be proactive. But for years at YU, it was, we're going to come here, play zone because we're not good. I'll put it to you this way. I want, and I know Elliot feels the same way, and I've always felt this way, and I thought I was alone on an island. For years, we were told what we couldn't do.
Right.
And I've only ever told my players what they could. I don't believe you can't.
Uh-huh.
I always thought it was. I always thought that was one of the things I liked about Elliot. I came in, so Johnny was leaving. My senior year, Johnny was the guy, and I wouldn't have called myself a traditional Yeshiva League player. I was very, I wasn't. I was a raw athlete when I was younger. Now I'm a fat old man, but then I was a raw athlete. Johnny saw me and said, that's not like the player that I want. Elliot saw me in a pickup game with Shelby, Shia, Mike, and I was running and I could dunk. And he said, well, we didn't have any of that. Why don't you come on and we'll take you and teach you how to play. But we want to run. The first thing that Elliot said when I came into that practice was year one of Elliot. And he said, we're going to run the ball. We're going to push the ball. We're going to play man-to-man. And it's so funny. I had a friend with me who was a top-ranked point guard who was a Johnny Halpert player, Ari Wachtenheim from Shalhevet. I don't know if you guys remember him.
Yeah.
But
it was him, Fallis. That was the team.
Extremely intelligent, left-handed, great ball handler, good shooter, dribble, walk it up, dribble, move the ball around, dribble, hold the thing. Extremely intelligent, not a great locker room guy, doing really good hedge fund stuff, married kids, the whole thing, great guy. But he was a Johnny Halpert guy where he was like, we're going to walk it up. We're going to play a zone. We're going to outthink. We can't do this. We can't do that. And he said to me, he's like, this is never going to work. This is never going to work. I'm out. He quit. He said, this is crazy. Why is it never going to work?
Here's my thing, Jack. I've never.
Very funny. But then you look all these years later and you see how it works.
Look here. Here's the approach I've always taken. Name the profession and show me where the Jews ain't. And I'm not talking about off the beaten path professions. I'm saying name the profession where the Jews could not compete.
No, there's none.
There is no reason we cannot apply that. We may have to skin the cat in a little different way.
Right.
But don't tell me, a survivor's child, that we can't compete.
No, that's true. And it's also, we also forget that
it goes back to what you said. We're always put in a box when it comes to everything. So why?
What we couldn't do. That's why Tamir was the refreshing thing in the world for the Jews.
Right.
Because Tamir said, no, I was told I could. And everybody told him he couldn't. And I'm like, the same thing I said, no, just ignore the noise. I don't know if Ryan.
There was a lot of noise. I think I'm really interested on how he handled all that noise. That I think is a really interesting. You're coaching him. It's 2003. Sports Illustrated, the biggest thing on the planet. There's no social media.
Yeah, 99.
99. Whatever. Yeah, I got him confused with LeBron. Sorry, which is crazy. It's 1999. Right.
A lot to look alike. I get it. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. It's 1999. Sports Illustrated, the biggest thing on the planet. There's nothing bigger than Sports Illustrated. He's coming from a small town, Baltimore. Small school. It's not New York, like small school. How do you handle it? How did you manage?
Well,
That is a lot of noise.
There's a lot of noise. Well, one of the things, first of all, by the time Sports Illustrated came around, I think it's the Shannon Sharp cover and the Super Bowl issue. By the time Sports Illustrated, he was supposed to be a Faces in the Crowd. You know that little thing they used to do? Like they used to do like 4 pictures, Faces in the Crowd, you know.
Like a Where's Waldo?
Yeah, well, no, we'll tell you something about, you know, like there were other famous people who were Faces in the Crowd, and then they just saw a little thing. It was in Sports Illustrated, just say, you know, scored 21 points, whatever, you know, and is leading the country in blah, right? And then I don't know if you ever watched NBA TV. There's a guy, Matt Weiner.
I love Matt Weiner.
So Matt was at that time. Okay, so then Sports Illustrated decides they're going to do a full feature on him. Michael Bamberger comes out here, but Matt Weiner was the guy who would call me up and, you know, I need to verify some facts for this article. So he was like the
fact checker.
Yeah, fact checker. But the noise, it's crazy because the guys in Baltimore growing up, I'll tell you something Carmelo said, because Carmelo was talking about doing a documentary on Tamir. And when Melo on this call, this is now recently, Carmelo said this. He said, a whole mess of people always tried to infiltrate our community. And the only guy who ever did was Tamir. Like he was the only guy who he'd come downtown after those first couple of times and everybody be like, oh, Tamir's here, man. You know what I mean? Like it was one of those, everybody tried to, he called it infiltrating. You know, everybody tried to be part of the black basketball scene.
Right.
Tamir was actually for a while the black basketball scene. So the noise is kind of was far greater than anybody realized. Like in town here, like in Baltimore, he was the show. So, I mean, we play.
Right, but that's as much as that's so. If I'm in Los Angeles, I don't know that, right? That's still
no, that's right.
Noise,
that's right.
You know
that's right. That's right. That's right. So I'll give you an example. We play. Here's an old coaching tip. We play. It's really, we play at Loyola College because they didn't want it at TA anymore, so we had to go on the road. So we had to play on the road. So then we were going to play this team, and they're like, we don't have enough room. We're going to go to Loyola College. So go to Loyola College. We had 5,000 people there that night, and the next day for the Loyola St. Peter's game, we're 200. So at Loyola here in Baltimore, we had sold the joint out. You know what I mean? The next day, the college had a couple hundred people at their game. So we're playing a game, President's Weekend, a game I kind of didn't want to play. That's why I sent the guy to talk to my principal, and then my principal said, yeah, we'll play it. Half my team was away. And this is kind of crazy. They called Tamir for 2 quick fouls right away. Now, there's about 5,500, 6,000 people there. Wilbon, Kornheiser, you know, like anybody what's his name? The guy from CNN, Wolf Blitzer. Like he would, everybody's there. Okay. It's a high school basketball. Everybody came to see Tamir. And some young referee calls him for 2 fouls right away. So I call the official I know over. I go, hey, Tony, come here for a second. You see, what's up, coach? So let me tell you something. If you call 22 for another foul before the half, we will not be out after halftime. We're going home. Because these people, they did not come here to watch him ref. They came here to watch him play.
Wow.
Okay? So then I called Tamir. I say, you be as aggressive as you want. Tony's like, I'll take care of it. I say to her, you be as aggressive as you want to have fun. You know, like they ain't calling nothing.
Right.
It's kind of like, it was like a game that we just did for the fans. You know, like we weren't. It was a non-conference thing that
No,
they.
of course, but like back.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, Jack,
how in that
he
situation
he never went out alone. Well, because he was just Tamir. Like when he was. I'll give you an example. We have a game. In the
like,
state.
I'm making a parallel only because last year we had like the
They
AP.
were like the Beatles, yeah, like the Beatles. But he's 17, he's 16 years old.
Let me finish. We're 23, 24 in grad school with New York and AP when there's 1,000 media outlets and it goes to the team's head and it detriments everything. Tamir's 17 with 2 media outlets and one of them is there and it's a huge deal. Sports Illustrated 1999. There's nothing bigger in sports. What was the secret?
Well, it wasn't just
right. And how did these YU Max emulate that of Tamir?
Well, it wasn't
not even YU Max, but anybody watch.
But it wasn't like
no. This whole theme has been blocked out the noise.
But it was ABC. It was ABC News with Connie Chung. It was Today Show. It was 60 Minutes. It was Sports Center. Like
right, all this stuff.
Right.
How do you block it out?
Because I used to tell my guys this thing every day before we left for a game. And it was, don't ever do anything. Like we're going on a road now. Let's not do anything that embarrasses yourself, your family, your school, your creator, and most of all, me. Like I thought that would be it. And when you realize that this is not about basketball. It's about something bigger than basketball. It's about, let's know who you are. Like our guys did a great job of, here's what they knew. They knew they were never going to get a chance to play with a player like this again. And they also knew that was going to be the most fun they've ever had playing ball. And we didn't play. And here's this kind of loops back to that YU thing you asked about. Am I coming here? I'm the kid now. Am I coming here to score 44 points to play in a 45-44 game when I scored 88 points a night in high school? Like here's the deal. As a coach, you have to make this decision. And I kind of talk about it a lot with young coaches. If you played me back in the early 90s, okay, and I had you by 5 with 4 minutes to go, the game was over. Like I'm up 31-26, you're losing the game.
This is with a shot clock or without?
No, it was way before the shot clock, way before the 3-point clock. Maybe the 3-point shot was already, but I'm just saying, like I used to play that walk it up basketball game. And then this kid who I've been teaching since he's a little kid, he goes away in 9th grade, comes back in 10th grade and says, he comes to the gym. And he was away in Pittsburgh in his 9th grade year. We were practicing, and he came home for like a Shabbos off. So we're playing Saturday night. He comes with his brothers to play Saturday night in the gym. His brothers played for me. So they come in, they want to play Saturday night. So we'll play. I mean, you want to scrimmage us? Yeah, we'll play. I mean, Tomatoes make a shot. He's playing in long pants, white shirt, the whole Lubavitch deal right there. And he can't make a shot. And I was amazed at how good he got. And he didn't make a shot. I understand what I'm telling you. He didn't make one shot. And I looked at him and just went, wow. So he says to me, after playing against our guys, the kids he grew up with, because he had gone away to Pittsburgh. And he said to me, if I come back to TA, can I get number 22? I said, well, you come back to TA, I'll write your name on a baseline. Now, of course, I never did that, but I did give him 22. And so in 10th, look, that's all, by the way, that was also a process. Like in 10th grade, we scrimmage, there's some great stuff here that I never covered before, but we scrimmage, he's playing against his childhood hero, kid he grew up going to watch play, a guy who played for us at Chicago, who was so good. He was 5'10", flushing, he had a jump shot, he could really play. And it was halftime of that scrimmage, and Tamir's terrible. And I say to Tamir, like, dude, what's wrong with you? He goes, it's Gerard. And Gerard, I say to Gerard at halftime, you need to talk to Tamir, because this is not who he is. And Gerard says to him, what's your problem? He says, it's you. I'm playing. I can't play against you. You're great. And Turell looks at me and goes, and you're better than me. Now play like it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not afraid to reach out to somebody for help. And Tamir was awesome in the second half. And then we were great that whole year, you know, but nobody knew who he was till he went to like NBA camp, or maybe it was Eastern Invitational. And, you know, because he had a yarmulke, they like, he's nobody. So, you know, you do these things where they like evaluate you.
Yeah.
And they give him this evaluate, they put him in the lowest level because he didn't get the ball, you know. And like, it's Bobby Kennedy's brother. And I say, but, you know, it's Pat Kennedy's brother, Bobby. And I say to Bobby, like, you understand that this kid right here is the real deal, Bob. And one day you're going to regret doing what you're doing to him. So they move him up. Okay. And he goes, plays at the NBA, like it's NBA, NCAA, right? So he goes, plays at the NBA level. And the very first possession, tip it to him, down the floor, blows the left-handed leg. First possession. I mean, you know, I'm trying to get this kid where he's supposed to be, you know, because I got to watch him because it's no kosher food. I got to take care of him, you know, blows a layup. So what really happens to Tamir, and when he started to blow up, and this was real, like you played a bunch of indoor courts and outdoor courts, right? So he had the last game of the day and an indoor court. There are like 3 indoor courts. The 2 other games are over. His game went to double overtime, whatever, before him. And then it started to rain. So the entire camp and every coach there is at the game.
Right.
He gets, I can't even describe it. He gets like an outlet and throws, follow me, because this is straight up. This is what got everybody's attention. At his heart, he was an entertainer. You understand? Mm-hmm. So he gets the outlet and throws a behind the back, left-handed, one bounce pass about 70 feet for a dunk. And the joint went nuts. And then the next thing is like going bucket dishing, going behind, you know, he was just an entertainer. He was just, I'm telling you, it was one of those boom, like just really boom, bounce pass behind the back. And not because he was putting a mustard on, because it was the right play. He had to squeeze it between this guy and that guy. You know what I mean? That's it. So then the whole joint goes nuts, and everybody's like, who's this kid? Sean Finney from Kentucky. And I got all these bumps, whatever they were, right? I'm King Rice at Providence. Everybody bumped me, you know, because, and then we were driving home from Pittsburgh. That's where it was, in Pittsburgh. And we're driving home. I think it was 5-star. It was a 5-star Eastern, I forgot. We're driving home, and I say to Tamir, you know, you're going to get a lot of mail now. Like, you got to understand. And he's like, you know, he's massively dyslexic. He's like, I can't read that mail. Like, I'm not going to be able to read the mail. I said, don't worry. Somebody will read it for you. Don't worry about it.
Isn't it funny that both Ryan and Tamir were both dyslexic?
It's incredible. Right. It's been something that's been on my mind for years now. And it's almost like Hashem said, I know what I gave you, but I'm going to give you something else. That's going to help. You know what I mean? Like, I believe that's what happened to Tamir. And I mentioned that. I brought him, you know, he tells that story about the doctor saying to me that he was so dyslexic, he didn't understand the difference between a square and a circle. He didn't understand how he could play basketball. That's a factual story. Well, that doctor now teaches at my school.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I'm talking to this doctor, and I say, you remember this? And he says, yeah, I do remember it. And I go, I've always felt that, like, there's the way he played basketball with his vision, all that was something different in his brain. And he goes, 100% true. I've always believed that his brain and kids like him are anywhere between 15 and 25% larger in a different cortex, whatever he called it, like a different section of the brain of that. So whatever Hashem took away from him, he gave him something extra in his vision or whatever. So it is always intrigued me. So the long answer, the short answer to the long answer I gave you was, you just have to remember who you are. Like he was just Tamir. He was with his friends. He was just Tamir. He'd still go out for pizza, but now he had like to have people around him to protect him. You understand what I mean? Like there was a point where he could. Oh, this is an awesome story. That same summer, he's playing down what's called the Dome Madison Rec. It's like where the best basketball in Baltimore is, at the Dome, and at the time. And then it's like, I think it's called the Reggie Lewis Center now, but that's where everybody grew up, right? It's over by Dunbar High School. So it's not a neighborhood where guys like me and his dad are used to. I mean, I'm used to it because I would recruit there, so I don't have a problem with it. But his dad wasn't used to it, okay? So he's driving home from a game. This is like a couple weeks playing down the Dome, right? Driving home from a game. And it's, I don't know, 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night. And he gets to a stop sign, middle of the neighborhood, right? 5 dudes are approaching the car. His dad's big dude, lawyer. He's like, Tamir, roll the window up. I like, no, Dad, I don't think so. He goes, Tamir, I said roll the window up. And right before Tamir rolls the window up, dude looks down and goes, Tamir, when you play next, man? We coming here to find out when you play next. And that's when Tamir's like, what the hell is going on here? Like, he knew who he was. You understand what I mean? Like that's when the whole, so you have to retain perspective, and you have to, I remember Aaron Brown from ABC News, who was doing a thing for Connie Chung, came in and he tried to get Tamir to talk bad about the community. Like, where the rabbis are doing this and the rabbis are doing that. And Tamir stops the interview and he calls me into the other room. He goes, he wants me to say Lashon Hara about. So I'm not going to cause that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So I said, all right, handle it the way you want to handle it. And he was a phenomenal interview as a kid. For Aaron Brown asked him a question and Tamir gave him a one-word answer. If you ever get a hold of it, look at it. It's a really curt interview. Like, he'd be verbose. He'd like talk and give the guy exactly what he wanted. But with this Aaron Brown, he just like chopped him up. So what do the rabbis think? They're okay. If you're trying to do an interview, these one-word answers don't work. So it's a much longer conversation, Jack. But the truth is that it's all perspective. And we kind of have the perspective of, I'll tell you why, Jack. Let me tell you what I think really it was. And Tamir can tell you this. Every other Sunday, we would bring Yachad to our gym. Okay? For practice. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then every alternate Friday, we would go to an old age home. And I brought Yachad to the gym because I myself have a nephew who has cerebral palsy and is severely mentally retarded. So I wanted them to realize just how lucky they were to get to do what we do. And then I wanted them to go learn at the feet of wisdom and go to the old age home and talk to old Jewish people who lived through stuff that you will never understand. Because that's what your basketball program should be about. And so I believe that was a true answer. And the reason I think so is because every time Tamir goes someplace and does a camp, if he goes for a week, he'll take Wednesday and go to like a group home and bring his kids to the group home and just continue to do what we started to do back then. Because I wanted them to understand,
You're building character. You're not building just players.
It's not about basketball. That's what I'm talking about. And that he'll tell you that. I'm not saying something out of place here, but he'll tell you that. And that to me is, I believe, the reason why. So take that guy who's going up and down the floor, throws that one hand. Now, I'm not going to comment on anybody else. I'm just saying that's not the basketball that was being played at YU at the time.
No.
So do I fit into that program? And here's the thing. He comes to me now, and I have to make a decision. Am I going to bring him down, or am I going to ask everybody else to come up? So I chose, we're going to try to do something very different. And we're going to play, we're going to get up and down. We got a racehorse, and we're going to ride him. You understand what I mean? So that's sort of the decision you have to make as a coach. This is what we do, and this is how we do it. And am I stuck in my, and I myself am still stuck in my ways a little bit. But I also run a system that's probably the most flexible in the world. So that's sort of, apologize, I'm probably boring everybody right here, but that's sort of
great. That's a great footnote. This is great anecdotes. I love ending on the Tamir stuff because I think there's so much out there, but there's also so much more not out there.
I will tell you this. I guarantee you this. What you think you know what happened to him, I guarantee you have no idea.
Yeah, we can't wait to continue to do the Harold Katz podcast. I love the ending on the Tamir stuff.
I guarantee you, people who think they know, because I've read all this stuff, and I've stayed silent on it for decades.
Look, there's a lot that's in the public eye, but there's also a lot of stuff.
I guarantee you.
For sure. There's a lot of stuff that you know that we're certainly not privy to.
I'm talking about nobody's privy to.
Right. But I think for the most part, a lot of people know that he handled his situation with such grace, and he continues to be an inspiration.
Let me say this. I used to call him the Jewish Jordan. I wrote a thing. I mean, I'll send it out if you want, but I wrote a thing. I called it the minuscule man. It was on Michael Jordan at his Hall of Fame induction ceremony, where he said the word me, I, or my 250 plus times. And he said, thank you 4 times. Thank you for the guy who cut me. Thank you for Jeff Van Gundy, who grabbed my leg in the middle of that fight. Thank you for Isaiah Thomas for freezing me. In other words, everything was their non-akarasato. I mean, it was the same night as John Stockton and David Robinson, and they both go, they apologize to their kids if they made them look bad. Michael Jordan looks at his kids and goes, well, I hate to be you following me. But you're just dealing with a child, okay? Oh, the great competitor and all that. Let me tell you something. I used to feel bad for Michael Jordan. That used to be a Jewish Jordan with Tamir. I felt bad for Tamir that night, and ever since, to be compared to that guy, because that is
a flawed human.
That is all you are, is a basketball player. Right. And if that is all you are, I don't want him to have anything to do with that. Like, if that's all you are when it's over, and all you got is your ego and money and whatever, and you're the same minuscule man you were, I was insulted that they called Tamir the Jewish Jordan. I'm insulted for Ryan, because Ryan's nothing like Michael Jordan. Ryan's great.
Ryan's Ryan. Tamir's Tamir.
Michael Jordan, I remember the next day, I'm listening to the radio that Monday morning. You see his speech. That's what made him the competitor that he was. What, are you kidding me? That's what made him the douche that he was. Are you kidding me?
Punched a teammate.
Douche.
I would say that to be compared to a guy like Steph would be great. Who seems like a mensch. I don't know behind the scenes.
Well, Jack, Jack, I think also to what Coach is saying, it's like the people who are doing the Ryan Zebby thing. It's like it's not necessary.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think I think the point he's making is that it's so kitschy, because Tamir Goodman was nothing like Michael Jordan in game and in personality. His game wasn't Jordan.
He was more
he was a distributor.
Right. He was more like Magic Johnson, Isaiah were his guys. Pete Maravich was his guy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Pistols. Pistols.
That's
probably
Tamir.
The best. Yeah.
Tamir was kind of and that's when I think, really, honestly, Jack, there was a guy on the radio who had seen him play and said, there's this kid who reminds me of Pete Maravich. And you said on WBAL in the pregame before a Maryland game, are you kidding me? And I knew then that all bets were off, because when that thing got out, Paul Baker said,
it was over.
Yeah, and then everybody, I find this guy, and we go to Mount St. Joe. I think they're number 7 in the city. We have them sons of bitches beat. I mean, how are we playing with them? There's 6'10", 6'9", all Division I players.
Yeah,
we have them beat. Did I tell you this story last week?
No.
We have them beat. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to. If you want to go further and later on, we can. But so we're up at halftime, and I remember walking down, and there's this guy on the radio, on the sports talk radio in Baltimore. And we're going down. You have to walk from the court to the locker room. It's a little bit of a walk, and we're going down the stairs. We're up 3 at the half, and he says, "Hey, if I was the Pope, I'd fire all these sons of bitches losing a bunch of yarmulkes." That's what he says. Okay, so we come back up.
Wow.
And we get in massive foul trouble. A big kid got hurt. I mean, it was just foul trouble. So we have to try to survive. We're down 9 going into the fourth quarter, so we had a little bit of a meltdown. Within 2 minutes, we had the lead. He had 24 in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, he had a game. And I remember, okay, so we're down a point with 15 seconds or so, and we foul a kid. So I call timeout, freeze the shooter. Kid end up going to, I think, Dayton. I call timeout, and I say in the huddle, "Hey, if he makes the first one, if he makes them both, we got to get a 3 here. If he misses them, I look at Tamir, I go, if he misses them, you're going to have the ball, man. It's your decision, whatever you want."
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Well, kid makes the first one and misses the second, and we get the rebound. And we get the ball to Tamir. And with about 7 seconds to go, he lets it go from the corner, and a ball is in the bucket and rims out. They get the rebound. We have to foul him. And he walks up to me, put both hands on my shoulders, and says, "I did not come here to tie St. Joe. I came here to beat St. Joe." Okay?
Right, the right mindset as usual.
Exactly right. And we ended up losing by 3. I think it was like 61-58 or something like that. He had 41. And Pat Clatchy is an old friend of mine and great coach. He is the coach here in Baltimore right now in the Catholic League. And we're shaking hands. He looks at me, he says, and by the way, he called me like 2 weeks before because Tyson Chandler's team was supposed to come in and they couldn't play. So he says to me, "You want to bring Tamir here?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I don't care. Well, I'll play you." Anyway, he goes, "I've had Reggie Bryan in here. We've had Juan Dixon in here. We've had Derek Snowden in here. We've had Marcus Hatton in here. And nobody just did to us what Tamir just did. Because of the flexibility of what we run. You know what I mean? And that's exactly the kind of guy I want playing for me. Everybody in the world wants to make that shot. I want the guy who's willing to miss that shot. That's my guy. So fast forward, we can end with this. Fast forward, like if you want. Fast forward 2 decades. Donnie's playing a championship game, 11th grade. Down 2 or 3, down 3, pulls it, ball exact his corner, rims out, lose the game. Donnie doesn't say a word for an hour because there's another game going to go on after us. We're just sitting there watching and everything. It was 2 really cool things happened that day. After the game, he thanked all the fans for coming, all the Bethel fans for coming. He just walked over the stands and waved at them and thanked them. And everybody else is crying on a bench. He's over there thanking them. Okay. And then we're upstairs in a place, not a Catholic League's playing after us, the game after us. And so the place is filling up and there's no place there's a guy, he's probably about 20 years old, comes in with his mom or his guardian. He's really off. Okay. Can't really walk. And he's like off. He's wearing a Mount Carmel shirt. My friend's coaching at Mount Carmel. Donnie has not said one word. Follow me. He hadn't said one word. And he says to the kid, kid's looking for a seat. He goes, you need a seat. So, why don't you sit here? I'm rooting for Mount Carmel too. Why don't you sit here? So he gave up his seat. We were leaving anyway. He gave it up. Doesn't say a word. We get in the car. And Don looks at me and goes, "Dad, I was the only guy shooting that shot. Make it or miss it, I'm taking it."
Wow.
You remember him in the playoffs? That's what was up with Donnie. He's taking that shot. Even in overtime Farmingdale when he missed it. You know what I mean? Yeah. He missed it, we won the game. He had a really good game otherwise. He took a shot, 77 up or whatever, he missed it.
He was
No problem. You want to put that on me? I'll take it.
Yeah.
Maybe he learned that from the messages that he learned from that kid who did it that way. You understand what I mean? Those are the guys I want playing for me. The guys willing to miss that shot, because everybody wants to be a hero.
Yeah.
The guy willing to miss it, that's my guy. So, like there's so much. Like, I'm more than happy to talk about it now, all these years later. But suffice it to say, and circling all the way back a half hour ago, it's just you can't take that plan and put that in a bowl. That plan is an entertainer. He needed to be out. You needed to let him
loose.
Understand? It's the same thing with Ryan Turell. You can't have Ryan Turell run the three, and then we'll get Texas special, swing him around, and he'll score 20 points a game, and it'll be great. Third leading scorer in the league, and everybody will know. We didn't do that. We said, Ryan, here's what we run, and we didn't do. Like I said last week, imagine Gabriel in the pick and roll offense. Just we'd have never seen how great he would have been. So they're like, people can question that, but I mean, as a coach, you have to make a decision. Is it about me or is it about my guys? And if it's about my guys and I have a special player, do I not owe that player a chance to play at the next level, regardless if it costs me a championship on my own? That's a question that I always ask.
It's a really good question. Do you sacrifice? You're saying, do I sacrifice?
You're not necessarily sacrificing your own success. You're just putting his in front of yours, his and the team's in front of yours. In other words,
are you saying, like, at what point do I realize, like, are we better off maximizing this individual? Does maximizing this individual's talent enhance the rest of the team?
Yeah.
Or are we better off bringing this individual down for the rest of the team? That's what you're saying.
So that I can win a banner. As if we raise the level of everybody else to that championship team, to that kids that would necessarily not win the championship. That's a risk, I think, as a coach, you have to take, because you may, in our community, you may never get another guy like that. Do you not owe it to him to get him prepared for the next level? Do you not? You know he's a college basketball player, and if you don't, you should reevaluate your own stuff. But you know he's a college basketball player. And right now, you know this kid's a perfect kid for Yeshiva University. Do you not owe it to him?
It sounds kind of like, maybe this is too controversial. Maybe I'll say this off the tape.
You not owe it. All I'm saying is, do you not owe it to him to get him prepared? And let's get our team to play in a defense that he's going to be able to be great at, not the one I'm comfortable with, but the one that he's going to need on the next level, and we can do here. You understand what I mean? Great. I think you owe it to that guy. I think you do. And I as much as I think it enhanced every player on our team, and they've all had brilliant success in their careers, all of them.
Yeah.
Every guy on that team has been they're just hugely successful, and I think there's a correlation to your success and the teams that you play on. You know what I mean? Like, there is something to winning and being part of something really big that carries over into other facets of your life. And because you were part of it, you know you can do special things.
Great, man.
Great way to
end. Oren, you want to close us out?
Yeah, that'll do it for this edition of the Harold Katz podcast. Special thanks, as always, to the Godfather for his perspective. Next week, we got a full slate. YU men's basketball in action Sunday against Amherst, followed by Tuesday against Manhattanville, and then Thursday against NYU. So we'll probably reconvene for the third episode in the following week. For Jack Turell, Oren Glickman, of course, the Godfather, thank you so much for tuning in, and have a good night and happy Thanksgiving to all.
Bye, guys.